Welcome to the deep dive. We're tackling a story that's really been making waves, especially here in Oakland, the Oakland Ballers.
Yeah, it's a fascinating situation.
And if you're someone who wants to get right to the heart of things, understand the key stuff without wading through everything, This is definitely for you.
Exactly.
We've sorted through the articles, how they started, that wild first season, all the unique bits so you get the essential insights.
That's right. We're really digging into how this independent team popped up, their connection to Oakland, which is huge, and what it might mean for baseball fans everywhere, especially after the A's situation.
Okay, let's dive in. The Oakland A's announcing they were leaving in late 2024, that really kicked this whole thing off, didn't it? It felt almost immediate.
Oh, absolutely. That was the clear turning point. Almost right away, you had Ryan Carmel and Paul Friedman. They knew each other from way back at College Prep 96. They decided, okay, we need to do something. Carmel's a filmmaker, Friedman's in education entrepreneurship. But the core thing was they just loved baseball and loved Oakland.
And it wasn't like they were just outsiders looking for investment. I read they actually used to go to A's games together. That personal history feels, important here.
It really does. That shared background as fans, plus their different skills, it gave them a pretty solid foundation.
Yeah.
And even the name Oakland Ballers, it's not random. It's actually a tribute to a friend of theirs, Bobby Winslow, who apparently used to call himself a baller.
Huh. Okay, that adds another layer. And the nickname, the Bees. Kind of a clever nod to the A's leaving, like, hey, baseball's still here.
Exactly. It acknowledges the past, but points to something new.
Mm-hmm.
And that mission statement they put out. A team to be by Oakland, for Oakland, and that will never leave Oakland. That's pretty direct.
Super direct. Okay, so they have the idea, the passion, the name, but then came the hard part. Building a team, finding a stadium. That sounds like a mountain to climb, especially so fast.
Oh, it was a massive undertaking. First, they joined the Pioneer League. And what's interesting there is they're the first West Coast team ever in that league.
Okay, wait, the Pioneer League. Remind me, what's its deal? Is it connected to MLB?
So, yeah, it's what they call an independent partner league of Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they run their own show, but there's an agreement with MLB, which can help with, player development, maybe guys getting called up.
Peach. Okay, that context helps. So partner league. But still, putting it all together, team business, renovating a stadium in 9 months for a June 2024 start, that's breakneck speed.
It's almost unbelievable, really. And then the stadium choice. Raimondi Park in West Oakland. Now, this place has history, tons of it, but it was, let's say, pretty run down, a public park needing serious TLC.
But Raimondi Park, that name rings a bell. Ernie Raimondi, Oakland Oaks guy, and guys like Curt Flood, Frank Robinson played there. That feels deliberate, connecting to Oakland's baseball past.
Totally deliberate. And the fact they pulled together $1.6 million in private money to fix it up. Especially when you think about all the public stadium funding debates around the A's.
Yeah, that contrast is stark.
Right. It really resonated. And apparently a lot of community folks got involved in the actual renovation work, which just feeds into that whole buy Oakland for Oakland thing right from the jump.
They also brought in some legit baseball names. Don Wakamatsu, JT Snow, Micah Franklin managing. Those aren't just random pickups.
No way. Those hires gave them instant credibility. Wakamatsu as EVP, Snow coaching, Franklin managing, that's real MLB experience, player development know-how. It adds legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it makes people draw parallels to Bing Russell's old Portland Mavericks team back in the 70s.
Oh, the Mavericks. Yeah, the ultimate indie team, right. Why that comparison?
Well, the Mavs were famously unconventional, kind of piratical and insouciant, as one source put it. Really fan-focused underdogs.
Right. Totally captured the city's imagination.
Exactly. And the Ballers seem to be tapping into that same energy, trying to build something authentic, rooted in the community, maybe a little bit rebellious, less corporate gloss, more heart.
That makes total sense. And it flows right into how they approached community engagement. It sounds like that wasn't just marketing speak. It was foundational.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Core to the whole project. They weren't just fielding a team. They aimed to be community driven. A legitimate community asset. They were out there canvassing neighborhoods, meeting with local leaders, Mr. FAB, Billy Joe Armstrong, others. They even drafted a Fans Bill of Rights.
A Fans Bill of Rights. Okay, that's interesting. And I heard about some secret meeting with community ambassadors early on. Smart move to get buy-in.
Yeah, getting those key community voices involved from the start, sharing the vision. it apparently generated a lot of goodwill right away, built that support base. And then the big public announcement at Laney College with Mr. FAB and the mayor there that really cemented the local connection publicly.
And then the fan ownership piece, letting people actually buy shares, have a say, that feels different. Very different for pro sports. The numbers who reserve shares were pretty high, right?
Yeah, thousands of reserve shares initially. It's a radical departure, really.
Yeah.
Giving fans actual skin in the game financially and in terms of, like, having input.
You just don't see that.
You really don't. It flips the script on traditional sports ownership. Makes you wonder, what if more teams operated like that, where the community's voice actually has weight? They even elected a fan to the corporate board.
Wild. Okay, so the inaugural season kicks off June 4th, 2024, home opener, sold out. And get this, the A's were playing across the bay at the same time. That's some symbolism right there.
Oh, that was a moment. You couldn't have planned it better. It felt like a real statement from Oakland fans about where their attention was, at least that night.
Yeah.
And they started okay on the field, too. Finished the first half 4th place in their division, which isn't bad for a brand new team in that league.
And some players stood out, right? Didn't a few even get picked up by MLB organizations?
Yeah, exactly. Christian Cosby was racking up strikeouts. Austin Davis stealing bases like crazy. And 3 players had their contracts purchased by MLB clubs during the season. That's huge validation for an independent team.
Shows they can find talent.
For sure. And you saw the fan support grow. Facebook groups popping up, Instagram blowing up, local celebs like Too Horde giving shout-outs. The momentum felt really positive.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, was it? I heard the second half got a bit rocky. Issues with, player housing.
Yeah, that became a problem. Reports of cramped living conditions, apparently even a burglary at the player housing. That kind of stuff obviously affects morale.
Of course.
And then there were disagreements. The manager, Micah Franklin, was let go mid-season. And some players, represented by agent Lonnie Murray, reportedly asked for trades.
Oof. And Lonnie Murray went public with criticisms, right? About player treatment, medical care. That sounds serious.
It was definitely a major challenge. Her comments got a lot of attention, raising real concerns. The team had to respond publicly.
How did they handle that?
They put out a statement, acknowledged the issues, didn't shy away from it completely, and basically reaffirmed their commitment to the players and to figuring things out. It was a crucial moment. They had to address it head on to try and maintain trust.
And how did the fans react to all that turbulence?
Well, what was pretty remarkable was the next home series against the YOLO High Wheelers again. The fans really showed up. Big crowds, lots of energy.
Wow.
Yeah, the team got a decisive win in one of those games. And there was even a community cleanup day organized around the park. It felt like the community was saying, okay, there are bumps, but we're still here.
That's a strong bond. Let's talk more about Raimondi Park itself. The vibe there sounds like a big part of the whole experience.
Oh, absolutely. People describe it as really intimate, like it's truly part of the West Oakland neighborhood, not some isolated stadium complex. It feels closer to, baseball's older urban roots. And that first year had a real DIY feel pop-up tents for vendors, food trucks, even shipping containers repurposed as, the press box and dugouts. It had a certain charm.
A bit rough around the edges, maybe, but authentic.
Exactly. And the concessions reflected that, too. Yeah, you got your hot dogs, but also local craft beer, like Almanac Brewing did a Ballers Love beer, plus different food trucks rotating through.
Nice. Keeps it interesting. And beyond the game.
Lots of stuff. Between inning contests, theme nights, kids running the bases after games, players signing autographs, and you've got fan groups like the Oakland 68s bringing serious energy in the stands. Sounds like a fun, lively atmosphere.
Though I did read about some growing pains issues with the BART shuttle service, parking being tricky, and ticket prices maybe being a bit higher than you'd expect for that league.
Yeah, those are definitely things they'll likely need to smooth out. Logistics matter for the fan experience long term. Accessibility is key.
For sure.
But they also leaned into unique things. They tested out that electronic ball strike challenge rule. Kelsey Whitmore made history, first woman to start a Pioneer League game playing for the Ballers. Mm-hmm. They've got Scrappy the Possum as a off-tom.
Okay.
Right? And murals honoring Oakland baseball legends around the park. Oh, and apparently the PA announcer sometimes blasts out, "No one's going to tell us we can't have baseball in Oakland."
Whoa. That must hit hard for the fans there.
You gotta think so. It's defiant. It's proud. It really taps into that feeling of resilience after losing the A's, the Raiders, the Warriors.
So, zooming out then, what's the bigger significance here? What does this Ballers story really represent?
I think for a lot of people in Oakland, the Ballers are more than just baseball. They represent maybe some hope. a sense that something good and local can be built even after big losses. They could potentially help heal some of those sports wounds, rebuild that sense of community pride.
It feels like they're almost testing a new model, a different kind of social contract for sports, maybe? One where the team is really accountable to the community.
That's a great way to put it. It definitely prioritizes those local ties over, say, maximizing profit above all else. And maybe, just maybe, their story could be a blueprint, or at least inspiration, for other towns that have felt left behind by pro sports.
It pushes back hard against that narrative that Oakland is just a minor league city now. It's a totally different energy than the A's departure saga.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And of course, their future hinges a lot on securing a long-term lease for Raimondi Park. Those negotiations with the city are ongoing and super important.
Right.
But the founders, their vision of being a joy factory, as they put it, they seem to believe that if they focus on creating that positive community experience, the financial side will work out.
It's a bet on community connection leading to success.
Yeah. And it's crucial to remember that line. Ballers baseball is not A's baseball, cannot be A's baseball, will never be A's baseball. It's still baseball. Managing those expectations while building something new is key.
Absolutely. So, wrapping this up, it's quite a story. A team born from local passion, deeply embedded in Oakland, facing real highs and lows right out of the gate, and carrying some pretty big hopes for the city and maybe even for how sports teams can operate. This deep dive really highlighted that uniqueness.
It really did. The Ballers journey offers, like you said, a different lens on ownership, on fan loyalty, on what a team can mean to its city. It forces you to look beyond just the wins and losses.
For sure. And that leads us to a final thought for you listening. Thinking about the Ballers, what does genuine fan loyalty and real community ownership actually mean in sports today? It's something to chew on, maybe thinking about your own teams, your own sports towns. Thanks for exploring this with us on The Deep Dive.